and George showed up for that one. And he had those choppers. I'll never forget them. They were wood, you know. This is all terrific.
It's a good meal all the way around.
That's it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Well, you look like you're behind bars.
I am. Really, you look like you are in prison when I do this. And then when I do this, he just looks like he's standing beside me.
Unfortunately, the bars he's usually behind are not the same
Now,
as
just a minute, Mr. Johnson.
pouring out that devil's brew constantly.
Oh, but you know, milk. I love it. I love milk.
If you believe that, you'll believe that bears can fly. What are we doing today?
I'm just trying to maintain. I don't know, but I think the witch is going to come down and tell us all about...
Doris is over there playing with her food. That
She's
always
real
makes
nervous
me...
today. She's very nervous. I don't know what it is. She just hardly has had time to even talk today. She's been just nervous as a chicken on a hot plate.
She's just playing with it over there. Well, let's see. Dear boys, I have been throwing stale bread to the birds for years. It really seems they have appreciated it, but last night I found out otherwise.
Oh, no.
I had gone out for a short walk when I was attacked by a flock of starlings. They pecked me and did many other things to me that I can't even say on your family show. The bottom line is they want fresh bread and something else besides plain white.
Oh, they're getting picky.
I'm scared. Can you help me? And it's signed Lenore Raven of Poe Valley, New Hampshire.
Well,
Lenore, we'll do our best.
We're going to do some sort of breads today.
Yeah. What kind are you doing?
I'm doing the strangest thing I've ever seen. Some kind of little cottage cheese flapjacks.
Oh, well, I hope they'll be good. And I'm doing Amanda's banana bread. And I'll have to put on my peepers to see who
This
sent
was
them
sent in by Gladys McGillicuddy. No, wait a minute. McCunney of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And mine's from Philadelphia, too, from all our fans up there. And it's Brenda's banana bread from Brenda Goldstein. And it is a easy recipe.
These are called featherweight pancakes, but you know they don't have any feathers in them at all.
Oh,
I'm real disappointed. I'd gone out and plucked the chicken and got ready to fix these pancakes. And then Miss Thang is going to do quick pineapple nut bread when she comes in.
All right, but you know, I want to ask
Mitzi
her
Foraker
something.
of Trooper, Pennsylvania. That's an interesting name.
Doris, come here.
Come over here, Doris. I don't know.
Yeah,
this is unexpected. You know, I don't get paid for using the mic twice in one show.
I'm doing banana bread, and you're doing pineapple bread. Where would you serve this?
That's what I was trying to figure out, how you serve some of these things. Well, a banana bread, I like it for breakfast. You know, with butter or something on it, which you're not supposed to put on it. But I don't know what you do with this pineapple bread, and it's even hard to slice.
If we were having tea, high tea every
That would be
afternoon,
good.
you could do
This
it
would be a
then.
good thing to do.
But you know, I have been to some real fine restaurants, I think with you, in the last 6 months, where they served an assortment of breads. And
And some of them were very
had,
sweet and
fruit
cakey.
breads,
And, yeah, right.
So I just wondered, banana bread is not something I serve at home, but maybe I will because this recipe is so easy.
Oh, before you leave, would you validate my parking? I think I have overparked out in the parking lot. We'll see a little bit later, sweetheart. You want to start?
Yeah, you need 3 ripe bananas, and they really have to be brown.
She kept it, too.
Ugly brown.
Ugly brown.
And we're going to put them in a bowl and mash them up, and I'll peel them and just break them up into little pieces. And you can usually get this kind of a banana real cheap because they don't look good, and most people, including me, I don't like a banana that's dead ripe. I like it kind of just a little bit on the green side. And that's all I'm going to do.
Mr. Greenside, didn't he used to be on that morning show, Mr. Greenside?
Green Tops.
Oh, Mr. Green Tops. Well, on this featherweight pancake, you start out by separating 3 eggs at birth.
Oh, no, that's always so cruel, and we get letters about it.
It is terrible, it really is. So anyway, you got to separate your eggs, 3 of them, and what you do is, of course, that means you put your whites on one side, and you put your yolks on the other side. Oh, dear. Now, I got a little bit of the yolk in there, and you can just scoop that out. See that? And just scoop it out with a little trick of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Do another one here. I'm doing a terrible job on these eggs today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not in an egg separating mood, I believe. I have done a better job in the past than I have today. 3 of them. And here's the third one for those of you that are nervously counting. Well, look at that. Did you ever in your life, I think I could have done a little better job than that. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip at this point.
Oh,
You're going to
good.
what you're going to be doing is you're going to be fluffing both of these up. But if you start with your whites first, then you won't have to wash your dashers. Dashers? Yes, your beaters. Dashers are for ice cream machines, aren't they? Ice cream machines. If you do your whites first, then you can go to your yolks and you won't mess them up and use them same ones without washing them. If you do it in the other direction, you got to take them off and wash them or you'll ruin your egg whites. Did you know that, Doris? Follow along with me, or Dolores. I called her the wrong name. So anyway, the first thing you've got to do is beat these whites up, and it says beat the egg whites stiff but not dry. You don't want them to get too terribly dry. And while you're doing this, it also says to heat up your girdle. Oh, your griddle, I'm sorry.
Oh,
So what we'll do here is we'll just diddle these around a little bit until they start getting just a little bit stiff, but not terribly stiff and dry. And there's no hurry in this process. It's loud, tedious, and irritating. Back to Laban.
well, oh, it is irritating. In mine, I have now mashed these bananas within an inch of their life using a potato masher. If you want to get real fancy and use up more dishes, you can do it in a food processor.
What'd you say?
Or in a mixer. Oh, well, that takes care of the bananas. And to the banana puree, we're going to add 2 cups of flour. So let me get my flour back here. And we're going to put a lot of stuff in and mix it up, and then we'll put it in the bread pan, and that's it. This is so easy, any fool could do it, including most of you.
Well, do you think you could maybe stretch it a little? We only have roughly 27 more
Well,
minutes
you know,
to
it
go.
takes a while to
Can't
measure
believe it.
out
He says,
stuff.
and there it is. That's it. 2 minutes into the show. Let's do a replay on that
Onesies.
pouring again.
Well, this bag doesn't want to do right.
Oh, well, that's all right. Do right.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Okay.
And exact measurements are not needed.
Okay, very good.
So
Well,
that's
hey,
really helpful.
there you
And
go.
now I've got to put in 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. There's 1,
1,
2.
2.
I know that makes some of you real nervous, but honestly, you don't really have to do it if you already know what you're doing. All
Well,
right.
that's all right. Some of us were nervous when we came in
Now-
before we even started, so it doesn't
Now you add a 1/2 cup container of lemon yogurt, except they didn't have lemon, and I had to use peach. You know what store I went to.
You know, it has got to be such a running joke on this show that when I go in, even the employees scream and laugh now. They say, what are you doing at this low-down place? They actually call it that. I was sort of nervous when I found that the owners of that store were at another major shopping store one day.
Yes.
I found them shopping someone else's grocery store. Don't you think that's kind of unusual? If you owned a grocery store, you go to someone else's store to shop?
And now I'm going to put in a handful of golden raisins. Yes, these are the same ones that you soak in gin to cure your arthritis. And it says a handful, so
I tried it for a year, and my arthritis went away, but my liver did too. Probably because I squeezed the things out and threw away the raisins.
you want to do something over there?
No, I'm just having a great
Oh.
time standing here. Well, yeah, I really do need to get going on something here. Now, if you look in here, deep down in here, this is kind of the way this needs to be. Just the weights are just so they stand up just a little tiny bit like that. You want them dry. Now take the same thing over here, and you now beat the egg yolks. I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there while I'm doing it. 1/4 teaspoon, give or take just a little bit, not too much. And you just mix them for a while. It says you beat until lemon color. Now, if your television is adjusted properly, that probably is a lemon color, although I think that I can't tell. There's all of that. Now, that's the end of the noisy part of this, thank heavens. I'm going to take these beaters off. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the griddle over here. I've got a real fine griddle. I'm going to start heating that up very slowly. And the next part, which is really strange and very, very fun, this is weird. That's all I got to say. It calls for cottage cheese, and it didn't say whether it was small curd or large curd, but I can't imagine that it would make much difference, because now what you do is you take 3/4 cup of cottage cheese, that's about that much plus a little bit, and you mash the curds up with a fork. I'm sorry. That's what it calls for, Mr. Johnson.
Well, you know, they're being harassed by old Saddam. And
Who, the Kurds?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, this is what they look like when he gets finished with
now
them.
they're over here being
So
abused
make
on
sure,
national
now,
television.
I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, those of you out there in TV land could probably help me with this. Is there such thing as a curd masher?
I'm sure there is.
If there is, I have never seen one, so just use a fork. I don't seem to be accomplishing too much because I started with small curds. Maybe that's the secret right there. And I don't know how much of this you have to do, for heaven's sake. What kind of a pancake calls for cottage cheese anyway? Besides this one, I mean.
Well, I am just absolutely entranced.
I can tell everyone's fascinated with it.
I don't think,
Help.
you know, Larry used to get smacked by his Aunt Tootsie
For doing
for
this very
doing stuff
thing.
like that with
That's
his
right.
food at the dinner table.
All right, go ahead, Johnson.
All
I'm
right,
sure you
well,
must
now
have
I'm
something to
adding
do.
a 1/2 cup of sugar. There it is. And again, you don't have to measure that all that carefully. And finally, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. And there that is. And a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I'm using up the tail end of a great big container of cinnamon that I had for Christmas. Put it all in. And now you have to mix it all together up real nice into a lovely batter. So I'm going to be stirring batter for a while if you've got something to do over there.
Well, yeah, the next thing is you take a 1/4 cup of flour and you put it into the egg yolks. And also you take the now mushied up curds, cottage cheese, and you fold that in there also. And I've already put a little bit of salt in there, and that basically is, well, in a couple of minutes then we'll also fold in the white. So right now what I have to do is sort of mix this around real good, getting the flour and the egg and the curds. And you may want to mash those a little bit more at this point, like maybe around the edge. That'll just sort of smooth that stuff out. I think the object of the game here is to get these curds as small as you can and get this cheese worked in as best you can. And that seems to be working around the edge of the bowl like that. So maybe that's the secret, Mr. Johnson. Maybe I've just discovered
Larry,
the secrets of
now
cottage
you've
cheese.
used the curds. What'd you do with the whey? Little Miss Muffet over
Miss
here.
Muffet. Now, the next thing you have to do, this thing is heating up too much. I've got a little Pammy Poo, and I'll put that on there, and in a couple of minutes we're going to try one of these babies.
All right.
Woo-hoo. We'll be setting off the alarms here at the station. Remember the last time hose companies 1 through 8 showed up. Now the next thing you got to do is fold your whites in there very gently. Just fold it in, fold them and fold them and fold them. And I'll be folding them for a while, but not
Okay.
stapling. Go ahead.
All right, now I've mixed all of my bananas and everything up, and now I have to put it over here in a loaf pan. And you can use whatever size loaf pan you have. One of those smaller ones would be just fine.
Yeah, it's getting too hot. I want it that way. Are we ready here? I
Yep.
need to do something. Now what
Okay,
you
go
do is
ahead.
just drop little bitty ones. We're going to make little silver dollar ones. Just little tiny ones. This thing seems to be just about right. There we go. And just stand by. Boy, I didn't do much of a job on making them round, did I? And let's hope for the best. I wonder if these are like other yes, they are. They're like other pancakes. When you start seeing these little bubbles appear in the top, it means that they've gotten done. What? Get the bowl out of the way.
Yeah.
Get this out of the way?
Tiny bubbles.
The flipper? Well, I need the flipper. I don't care about your iris.
Oh, what a terrible thing. He'd
Oh,
be-
look at that. Johnson, look at this.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Whoops.
Bly, well, that one.
Well, it
Don't
needs to go
favor
just
nobody.
a couple of minutes, but isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. It really is.
Now here is
His iris is shutting
a
down.
beautiful pan full of batter.
Oh, it's sliding out onto the floor, John.
No, but it didn't. I caught it
Well,
just
show
in
it
time.
again. Well, you still can.
Well, we'll just let it go. And you bake this for 40 minutes at 350 degrees. Somebody will bake it.
Well, I cannot believe this. This is just absolutely stunning. Look at these things. Mm-hmm. Do we have any butter standing by to slather on this?
Butter, strawberry jelly, and fig preserves.
Oh, for heaven's sake, she brought everything, including the kitchen sink.
Oh, I love fig preserve.
So anyway, I guess they're all puffed up there, and probably what I'll do is turn them over one more time just to make sure they're done inside. I don't think there's anything worse than digging into a big old pancake
And have it
it's
real doughy.
doughy. You want to give your recipe,
Yeah,
Mr.
I'll
Johnson?
give mine. Mine's Brenda's banana bread, 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1/2 cup of lemon yogurt, handful of golden raisins, 3 brown bananas, 1/4 cup sugar, 1½ teaspoon baking powder, and 1 teaspoon or whatever you like of cinnamon. And that's the recipe.
Well, mine is 3 eggs separated, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 cup of flour, and 3/4 cup cottage cheese mushed all up real good, and that's it. And look at these things. Aren't they pretty?
Oh, they
Just
are.
as cute as can be. And you know, they really are just as fluffy. And of course, you know,
Oh,
fluffy is one of my
fluffy.
favorite words. Fluffy was my favorite dog, and it's also it's my favorite pancake. And so I'm just going to keep making these. If you'll hold the
Yeah.
microphone for the
I'll
very
be
lovely
glad
Miss
to.
Doris, who's going to come in and explain her recipe, I will just continue making these things left and right.
Oh, look at that.
Welcome back, I mean.
Okay, I had to make a pineapple nut bread, and it was very hard to cut. I don't know if it's because we have knives down here that aren't too sharp, or the right kind, or if it's crumbly. But it's called quick banana nut bread. It's got a 1/4 cup of butter, 1/3 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 2 cups of Bisquick baking mix, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 cup crushed pineapple undrained, 1 cup of chopped walnuts. And you mix it all together and bake it in a 9 by 5 by 7 loaf pan for 45 minutes. I found it took about 5 more minutes to get it done. And it says let it cool completely on rack. And I think if you try moving ahead of time, it's just going to crumble all apart. So give yourself enough time to use this. And don't do what I did this morning. I just saw undrained pineapple and dumped the whole thing in there, and that's 3 cups of pineapple, and the thing wasn't getting done. So I had to quick call a neighbor, get some more pineapple, fed the other one to the crows,
Oh, no.
and brought this one in. So make sure you follow the directions. But I feel like I'm getting old enough where I can make these mistakes
Oh.
now.
You can.
Boy, these sure are fluffy little.
How do they taste?
They're real fluffy.
Uh-oh.
They taste real fluffy. No, they don't have any bad taste. They just don't have much taste, period. They're just real fluffy.
Well,
But if you put lots of butter and stuff on them, they'll be wonderful, I can assure
Oh,
you.
you know, we almost forgot the Cook sisters are here.
Oh, are they coming by again today?
Yes.
Oh, how wonderful.
Run them on
Well,
out
I'm going to
here,
keep
boys.
running pancakes until I'm totally out
Caked
of...
out.
Caked,
Or
until
up.
whatever you are when you get finished with pancakes. They're going real
And
well.
while they're here, I'll slice the banana bread.
And here they come right now to dispense with some fabulous information.
Hey, sis.
Yes?
You know last time you made that cookie dough and what a mess it was to slice it?
Yes,
Those
crumbled and everything?
Yeah.
What'd you start to say?
Well, I say, you know, I went to Doris Ford University of Cookies.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
good one.
yes.
Did you get a certificate?
No, she was out of paper that day.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, Harold has one, I'm
Oh.
sure. Anyway, you can avoid that if you just take your knife and put it under hot water periodically.
Oh, a hot knife
To
cuts
slice
clean.
That's right.
Oh, that's-
I'm Tootsie Cook.
And I'm Sister Cook.
And we're the Cook sisters. Well, I am doing my final round of these, and as you can see, they're absolutely just gorgeous. They really are. And if you just took these, of course, you know, pancakes, you don't want them to lay around very long. Some people will make them up and then throw them in the microwave later on, and I think that's disgusting. Pancakes are meant to come right off the griddle just like that when they're fresh. And I am a pretty good pancake maker. I make them from scratch at home anyway, so this was a pretty good.
You make a lot of waffles,
Pay no
too,
attention
don't
to
you?
that one, ladies and gentlemen. While I was talking, that one totally flew to pieces. So anyway, that's what they look like. I'm going to go over here now with the Mr. Johnson, and we're going to find out what all this stuff is about. Well, we do have, look at this, all these little homemade jams and preserves and stuff. Now, what is, well, here, let me give you a little fluffy pancake. You need to put just a wee little bit of something on that. We won't say what.
Here's
In case
some
your doctor is watching.
table spread.
What is this? Is this the one that you made with the...
Yes. No, that Doris made that one. Would you care for the table spread?
Well, Doris, that's good. I like that.
Ooh, I'm a piece.
I can't tell if it's a cake or a bread. I'm a little confused. And we'll just do a little bit of this. I think all of this would be better with jam on it. But I'm not sure. And this is the thing that
The
you made.
banana bread.
Well, it certainly is real heavy.
It's heavy.
In fact, no one will ever accuse this banana bread of being light and fluffy. It's real good, but a little milk would be real nice.
Yep.
I
You
think-
know, Brenda said that this recipe was so good for you because it didn't have any eggs in it.
I think it should have some eggs in it. Because it is just, it's not leaden, it's just goopy.
Doris, did you make these fig preserves?
What are you eating those preserves on? On my pancakes?
Uh-huh.
What do you think of those pancakes?
Pancakes are real
Now,
nice.
isn't that interesting?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll just have to tell you. Did you get any on you?
No, didn't get any on me.
I'll just have to tell you that.
Landed right on my knuckle.
Is this some of that freezer jam stuff that you put in the freezer? Well, could you explain to us how you make that, Dora? It's real good, I tell you. I have to go back. I'm burning my... Follow me.
Did you, Doris, did you pick your own figs?
My daughter had a tree.
All these beautiful. Look at
I gotta
that.
take care of it. And I couldn't let them just
They're
stay.
just perfect in every way, and I've turned that off now, and you can pull that off and serve it to your friends. We'll be serving it to 1, 2, 3, 4 of our staff members when we get off here. Anyway, that's that.
Ooh,
I didn't want them to burn.
the pineapple nut bread is delicious, too.
I think it is. I think it's quite delicious. Well, our little bread thing has worked out just extremely well. You
These are
must
the
be
kinds
kidding.
of things you could serve for a brunch and, you know, not have to get up at the crack of dawn in order to have ready.
Huh?
I said
What did you say?
that
Something about the crack of dawn.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to get up too early to make
Oh.
these because they're so easy,
You're right about that.
especially those little fluffy pancakes. I think I'll have another one of those.
Oh, here, have some more. We got fresh ones. Look at this. Here comes Doris. She's serving them just like they're supposed to. Get over here. Things just like they're supposed to be served. Would you like a full stack or a half stack?
Just one.
I always thought that was funny. Funny term. Full stack or a half stack?
And could I have the table spread?
You certainly could. And here, let me grab a little bite of it off too, and you all can have some too.
I
We
wish
have
you
enough
all
time.
could
You could
be
all
here.
come down to the station and eat with us right now if you wanted to. This show's going on far too long. But anyway, well, it was a whole bunch of good recipes.
And
I
we're
like
glad to
these.
have done them.
Now, why do you suppose you put cottage? Oh, you must be kidding. Another minute.
1 minute?
Why do you suppose you put cottage cheese in these?
It was an act of God, and the woman just said, you know,
Doris,
Well, I thought I'd come and be as you got another minute.
we have 5 or 10, I think.
Well, when Larry was doing his eggs, one hint that you could do is when you're at home, don't break your eggs up into the same bowl. Break all your eggs into an individual bowl, so if you do have your egg yolk run over, you
Like I
only
did.
have it in one egg.
Like I did.
And, yeah. And
Not the
so
whole
when-
thing.
That's right.
Thank
So
you.
when you're at home, it'd be a lot better
The
to do that.
egg lady has spoken, ladies and gentlemen.
and speaking of the egg lady,
Oh, yeah.
our friend Mary King, has she died or something?
You know, I'm not sure. She was a little cracked the last time. I don't know what that means. We got to go. Thank heavens. We're being forced to leave now because we're out of time. But anyway, thanks for coming by.